Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It is 7:07. Good morning. Thanks for tuning in here on the 30th day of January, Friday edition of O'Connor and Company. There's a lot going on, including a big announcement just now, long anticipated. President Trump has nominated Kevin Warsh as chairman of the Board of Governors for the Federal Reserve. We'll get into details on that. Also, in 30 minutes, we'll speak with Nathan Brinkman about School Choice Week. At 8:05, Brad Thor on his new book. And then at 8:35, Steve Moore. Good day to have him. Economist will give us his analysis of Kevin Warsh, your nominee. He has to be confirmed by the Senate, but barring any concerns, he should get through. We shall see. We'll also get Patrice Onwuka's analysis of Mr. Warsh as your Fed chair as the morning goes on. Good morning, Patrice.
I've been looking up his background. I'll be ready.
All right, good. And also, you need to say it.
I'm out of the running for Federal Reserve Chair. Oh, and it's 7:07. It's a happy Friday.
There it is. Gosh, I'll get angry letters and texts from people. It is, in fact, a happy Friday.
By the way, I have neighbors, friends who come and visit and tell me they look forward to a happy Friday. I'm just amazed.
Dr. Kurt Miceli is here now. He is a doctor in MBA, and he serves as the chief medical officer for Do No Harm, which is a quaint little notion that doctors and medical professionals should, do no harm. In fact, that's in the Hippocratic Oath, isn't it, Doctor?
Well, it's the summary of the Hippocratic Oath, that's for sure, and it's essential for us to practice in that way.
Well, and
Thanks for having me.
That's why we're so concerned about several things that we're seeing in the news right now. First, specifically, though, on one piece of legislation that's making its way through Richmond. We talked about it earlier. It has to do with nurses in Virginia having to be subjected to so-called bias reduction training about their inherent racism, unconscious racism, which is my favorite thing, because how do you prove someone has unconscious racism? You can't. But this sounds familiar. Didn't the Democrats in Richmond try to put this through when Youngkin was governor?
That's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. And Governor Youngkin was wise to remove and strip out that mention of unconscious bias because, just as you said, it's something that you can't even determine. If you look at the test that we have for it, the implicit association test, it doesn't even show any reliability in showing any of these concerns. And the reality is that this sort of makes doctors get accused and even nurses get accused of being racist, unconsciously racist. And instead it focuses on identity politics instead of focusing on providing quality care. And, we do know that there are disparities in between different folks, different racial backgrounds in terms of outcomes and such. But there are reasons for those, including medical comorbidities, access to care, socioeconomic influences, the choices people make, genetic factors. I mean, there are lots of other things. And instead here we're saying it's all due to racism. And that's just wrong. It creates a terrible division between doctors and patients and really tells patients you can't trust your doctor. And that is definitely not the message at all.
Well, it sounds like this is an example of DEI infiltrating, the health professions in a way that is, not helpful. And I'm glad you walked us through kind of some of the concerns that maybe have driven this legislation, where particularly when it comes to new moms after birth, particularly Black women, I'm glad you highlighted the disparities there and talked about some of the things that are driving it. But talk broadly about just the idea of continuing education, and licensure. I mean, if we want our nurses to be licensed, we want our health professionals to be licensed. But talk about how, the licensing process, is it, arduous right now? And then are we seeing that this is a vehicle for more radical ideas to kind of get into the bloodstream of your health professionals?
It's a great question. And, for physicians, for nurses, you need to be licensed in order to do your profession. And you have to renew that license at a given interval, typically every 2 years, depending on the state, could be every 3 years in some others. But the reality is that, when you have to renew that license, you have to prove that you're doing certain education, certain requirements. And typically it's a number of hours that you have to fulfill. And usually folks will choose to fill those hours within their discipline. So I'm a psychiatrist, for instance, so I would focus on learning more about different behavioral health matters. But in this case, it's requiring that, hey, at least a certain number of hours need to be dedicated to learning about your unconscious racism that you have. And frankly, we've seen this movie before. We see it in the state of Michigan, for instance, which has an implicit bias mandate that was imposed just after COVID. And the reality is there that if you look at the number of licensed physicians in 2016, so well before that mandate had come in, versus 2024, you see actually that the number of licensed physicians is static. It's the same. Wow. And so, a lot of physicians have sort of walked with their feet. They're at the margins and figure, well, hey, this is just not worth it. I'm not going to ideologically commit to anything that I don't believe in. And it's interesting. Surrounding Michigan, which don't have an implicit bias mandate, they've seen the number of physicians increase in that same time period from 8 to 10,000. So, we're at a time when we have a healthcare worker shortage and such. And if you're going to call healthcare workers racist and such, it really becomes a problem. And you're right, it's a testimony to the infiltration that DEI has had in medicine. And it's important for us, and that's what we do at Do No Harm. We aim to get that out of medicine. We want identity politics out of the room. We want to focus doctors and nurses on the patients before them so they can provide good quality care to that individual.
Well, and let me pull on that thread a bit because, it's funny that the training here is all about unconscious bias. I'm witnessing some pretty conscious bias right now against conservatives, Trump supporters, Republicans. We had a nurse who did a TikTok video identifying herself as a nurse, wishing harm on Caroline Leavitt during her childbirth. A couple of nurses actually were doing that. In the state of Florida, the Surgeon General is now of that state, I believe, has removed her license pending an investigation. We had a nurse in Virginia who put out a TikTok video, and again, she was on the job in a medical facility, suggesting that nurses either inject or expose ICE agents to dangerous materials. And of course, Mr. Preddy, the gentleman who tragically was killed over the weekend when he got himself involved with a Border Patrol agent. But we've seen video of him the week before acting rather abominably. And, of course, well, he's a nurse. What's going on with nurses, doctor?
It's horrible. It's horrible to see anyone wish violence on someone else. And it's certainly even more horrible when we have ethical professional standards and a core, and it's so important that we maintain those ethical and professional standards because, again, it gets to the trust that makes clinical care possible. And when a nurse or a doctor, whoever, goes to TikTok and starts offering advice on harming people, that just sends a really chilling message that ideology is overriding our ethics, and patients can't feel safe in that environment, and that is not what we want in medicine, not at all. In fact, I think back to the opposite story, from 45 or so years ago when Dr. Giordano, a trauma surgeon at GW, helped save Ronald Reagan's life following the 1981 assassination attempt on Reagan's life. And he recalled the situation as Reagan was coming there into the hospital and always being in good humor, even in the midst of practically dying from that assassin's bullet. And Reagan says, I hope you're all Republicans. And Dr. Giordano, who's a Democrat, brilliantly shared that today we're all Republicans. And he told that story afterwards. And, it's lighthearted and such, but it really gets to the point that your politics and whatnot, that doesn't matter, right? When you're a healthcare professional, when you're a nurse, whoever you are, you take care of the person before you. And certainly we shouldn't be offering any violent messages and such. It's just awful and horrible. And
does anybody, Doctor, thank you for reminding me of that. Does anyone believe that a doctor in a similar situation with President Trump would say the same thing? I mean, I hope so, but I'm not so sure these days.
There's so many great men and women who are doctors and nurses who are out there, and I know they work tirelessly each and every day to provide exceptional care to all folks. I trained at the University of Virginia in medicine and psychiatry and experienced many encounters with just such wonderful folks. So I'm going to remain optimistic, despite what we might see and such. And I think, the licensing boards and such will need to do what they need to do to remove those folks who are not acting in a professional manner, out of the profession. But there are many, many really good people who work tirelessly each and every day to do the right thing, to provide care for patients, and to remember that our duty is to our patient.
All right. Well, that's why they call the organization Do No Harm. I appreciate you joining us on this, Dr. Miceli, and we'll keep an eye on it. We'll see. I don't have high hopes that Governor Spanberger will veto this new provision here for Virginia nurses in the same way Governor Youngkin did, but we'll keep an eye on it, and if she does allow this to go through, we will certainly bring more attention to it. Thank you, Doctor.
appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
People who live in this area pay a lot in their taxes, and right now they're looking around thinking, what exactly are we getting for it? We're certainly not getting the basic minimum, which is, having city services that can clear the snow now 5 days after the snowfall. And it's where and by the way, if you're in D.C., you also look to the Potomac for a nice view, and you see raw sewage bubbling up to the surface, breaking through the ice, and you think to yourself, what the hell are we doing here? The photographs yesterday that were just pouring in from people who were trapped in the city in gridlock traffic because they were lucky to have just one lane cleared. And we're talking about downtown D.C., right in the corridors of power. You couldn't move, and the crosswalks haven't been cleared. People can't walk around if they did take Metro in instead of driving in. And it doesn't seem to show any sign of improvement at all. And the leadership of the nation's capital looks incompetent. I modified my plans because of it. I didn't want to get stuck in downtown D.C. last night after the Kennedy Center event, the TKC event, Trump Kennedy Center event. So I chose not to go. You wonder how many people are refusing to go down and go to restaurants, go to bars. The big question here is, Patrice, why D.C.? Because you go 35 miles north to Baltimore, and their downtown looks fine. Their streets look fine. I'm not talking about outliers, by the way. I'm not talking about, in the suburban areas or maybe rural areas. I'm talking about in the downtown corridor of the city of Washington, where it looks like it's, a little pokey little town in, the middle of nowhere that, was able to muster up a couple of plows and just get things moving. We have 500 trucks in Washington. Where the hell are they?
As I shared earlier in the morning, the amount of equipment that DC is boasting it has for snow removal is close to what Boston has for snow removal. And Boston tends to rely much more on their contractors owning maybe a few hundred snow removal vehicles. DC is boasting that it has hundreds of them, and yet the city looks the way it does. And worst, knowing that the lanes are narrowed to one, you're going to then open the schools with a 2-hour delay for 2 days in a row.
Right.
Now you're adding school buses. You're adding parents who have to do drop-offs. And pray tell me where the children are supposed to walk, because the sidewalks are not clear. Do you want the little kids to be dodging cars as they're trying to get to the front door of the school? Apparently D.C. thinks so.
It's frustrating, to say the least. And I think that the crux of the problem here is you've got elected officials at the district council and in the mayor's office. Unlike any other city in America, I understand every other city in America is dominated by Democrats, but things reach a point where even in my lifetime, Los Angeles and New York have both had Republican mayors of their city. Why? Because things got just so bad. I don't care how bad it gets in D.C., you will never see that happen. It is a 92% dominant Democrat party in this town. And that means these elected officials know that they will never be held accountable for incompetence. So that's why Metro blows. It's why this blows. It's like they can't even do the basics, the bare minimums, because they've got a lock on power and control. It's frankly one of the reasons why home rule has to go away.
Well, and interestingly, this is a tidbit that I got yesterday. So the One Big Beautiful Bill, the working families tax cuts, has a lot of tax deductions, like, and the no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, all of those great benefits that are going to make life easier for servers, for retirees, for people who are not earning a lot of money. DC is deciding now that they're not going to apply those deductions to DC residents on your local taxes, meaning that, you can claim those deductions on your federal taxes, but not on your state and your local taxes, which means they're really just trying to stick it to the working class again. So, I mean, whether it's the snow removal, taxes, I mean, it's crazy what they're doing to D.C. residents.
From rats to garbage pickup to snowplow removal to dwindling schools to metro incompetence and on and on. This doesn't function like a big grown-up city like other cities do. And it's because, if you're the mayor of New York, you know that you need to get things going. Look at what happened to Eric Adams. See, he even lost the nomination of his own party because it was perceived that he was not getting the job done. D.C. needs to get its act together. It's an embarrassment. Meanwhile, by the way, this will be really interesting. Florida is about to have an Arctic blast.
That's
Florida
interesting.
temperatures. Miami is looking at 28 degrees.
Oh, my goodness.
For this Sunday. Tampa is going to be below the freezing mark as well, 9 degrees in Tallahassee. This is going to be fascinating because if they have snow there, I mean, they don't have plows. They don't plan for this. But something tells me DeSantis will get Florida back up on its feet sooner.
Before D.C. does.
It's 7:24.
Making sense of your world.
Thank you for your clear insight.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
This is a major wake-up call.
Making sense of the news.
All right, coming up, we're going to close out School Choice Week with Nathan Brinkman. Stay with us. It's O'Connor and Company at 7:30.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. WMAL. News now. Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
7:37. Good morning. It's O'Connor and Company. Friday, the 30th day of January. Where the heck did January go? Coming up at 8:05, Brad Thor will talk to us about his new book. And at 8:35, Steve Moore on the breaking story from last hour that President Trump has nominated Kevin Warsh as the new chairman of the Federal Reserve. We'll find out what that means to you. Coming up at 8:35, it's Larry O'Connor with Patrice Onwuka. Good morning again, Patrice.
Good morning, Larry.
Nathan Brinkman is with Education Reform. His website is schoolchoiceva.com. schoolchoiceva.com because, well, it's past time to get real school choice going in Virginia. And, of course, this is School Choice Week. And first of all, Nathan, good to talk with you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Larry. Good morning and happy Friday, Patrice. It's great to be back on the program.
Well done.
Thank
and
you.
we should probably cut right to the big development here over the last 12 hours, and that has to do with the 4th Annual School Choice Week celebration scheduled for tomorrow in Arlington. I was going to be there with Winsome Sears, but, well, here I am talking in the past tense. What's the disposition of this event at this point?
Yeah, that's right. As you know, Larry, we were discussing that last night, and with a heavy heart, we decided to reschedule in light of the continued state of emergency declared for Virginia and talk in the media of a wintry mix and freezing cold temperatures on Saturday. Yeah. We already heard from some individuals that they just weren't going to make it because of possibly hazardous road conditions. You know, I grew up in the Midwest like you, Larry, mostly in Michigan, and I saw the forecast and thought, it doesn't sound that bad. But I am a Virginian now, and we must respect the local customs, as they say.
Right.
Things
exactly.
shut down more easily.
It's
here.
not the weather, really.
No.
It's the government's not really being used to it. Sadly, I think that's a big part of it.
That's right. That's right. So, in all seriousness, we didn't want anybody to feel uncomfortable or possibly endanger themselves. We got more than 100 RSVPs from all over Virginia, including a few from Maryland and D.C., and we really do want everyone who registered to be able to join us and to feel safe while doing so. So we are going to reschedule. That's the good news. Probably early March. As soon as that's confirmed with the venue, we'll be advertising that again. People can stay tuned, sign up for updates at our website. You mentioned schoolchoiceva.com for the event itself. Our main website is edreformva.org.
People can also follow us on X at EdReformVA. As soon as we have the details nailed down, we'll let everybody know. Those who RSVP'd already don't have to do anything. They're still on the list for the rescheduled event. For those of you who haven't signed up yet, the good news is it's not too late, and we're going to have a bigger and better event in March with Larry and with Winsome Sears and many other guests, hopefully, including your listeners.
Yeah, and listen, the bottom line is we wanted to make sure we had a big turnout, and we saw so many people wanted to be there, but there's no guarantee with these kind of conditions whether they'd show up. So we'll do it. That's the reason we do these events, is for the people, for our listeners. And you've got my schedule for March, so we'll get it. So let's move on to School Choice Week, because whether we have our event tomorrow or not, it is School Choice Week, and I'm concerned that we've taken a step backwards in Richmond.
Possibly, Larry. There are legislators and bills that are hostile to parental rights and school choice. We'll see if they make it to the floor, and if they pass, whether or not the governor signs that bill. One early test of Governor Spanberger's professed moderation will be what she chooses to do with the federal school choice program. That's the scholarship tax credit program that was included in the big, beautiful bill, as it's called. Mm-hmm. Governor Youngkin, kind of on his way out in January, did opt Virginia into the federal program. States do have to opt in, and this would simply allow the establishment of scholarship funds for students who wish to attend, or their parents decided it's best for them to attend a non-government run school, whether it's Christian, Catholic, or secular private school. People can contribute to a scholarship fund, get a tax credit for doing so, and the funds are dispersed to the school in the name of the scholarship recipient. It's really innocuous. Nobody has to participate, but states have to opt in. Youngkin opted in. The question remains, will Spanberger stay in, or will she cave to the pressure of teachers' unions and opt out?
Yeah. You know, it's so interesting that we're celebrating School Choice Week with an administration that is far more embracing of school choice than the past one. Can you talk from at least a positive perspective? What have you seen in terms of the gains that we've seen with school choice over the past year?
Well, certainly nationwide, school choice continues to gain traction. At the state level, we've seen more universal school choice bills signed into law. As Larry said, we are behind the times here in Virginia. So too are your listeners in Maryland, regrettably. Yes. D.C., ironically enough, has been ahead of the curve, going back to the creation through Congress of the scholarship program that funded private education for D.C. residents, a limited but meaningful program, and the charter school sector has flourished in D.C. in a way that it simply has not in either Maryland or Virginia. But you asked for the good news, and President Trump has been a champion of devolving education to the states, but also using the levers that he's got in the federal government to promote parental rights, parental empowerment, and yes, school choice. Most notably, the new scholarship tax credit program in the Big Beautiful Bill Act that incentivizes donations to scholarship granting organizations. And that's all, from my perspective as a parent, very welcome.
Yeah, it's so phenomenal how powerful that the Education Improvement Scholarship Tax Credit is going to be as soon as people learn about it and they'll be able to take advantage of it. That's why everyone should learn more about it at schoolchoiceva.com, schoolchoiceva.com. Sign up there, get updates on school choice in Virginia, and then you'll learn about our rescheduled event, which we had to call because of weather tomorrow, but we will be doing it in March. Can't wait. I'll see you there. Nathan, always good to talk to you. Thanks for all the great work you do.
Thanks, Nathan.
Thank you, Larry and Patrice. Take care.
It is 7:44.
WMAL's Vince Colonnese, weekdays at noon on 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Here's a regrettable critter news that we have to deliver to you, but it is important.
Yes.
Thousands of products, including Advil, Gatorade, and Cheerios,
Oh, my goodness.
are being recalled right now because of rat and bird droppings. Cheerios? Cheerios?
Pringles, Larry. Add Pringles in there.
Pringles? What
Pringles.
is going on here?
Oh, my gosh.
By the way, just before anyone goes nuts, these are Indiana, North Dakota, and Minnesota. because
Why don't we
why
not?
not?
Minnesota.
Gold Star Distribution asking anyone in those states who's purchased any of these products to destroy them immediately. Send proof of destruction to Gold Star's Minnesota address. Why do I think that this is sabotage or something in Minnesota? How many Somali nationals are in charge of Gold Star Distribution?
Oh, my gosh.
Advil, Tylenol, NyQuil, Arizona iced tea, Gatorade, instant ramen, Pringles, and Cheerios may have been affected by rat and bird droppings in those.
It's worse, Larry. Look, snacks affected by the recall: Jif crunchy peanut butter, Nutella, Skittles, Snickers, Twix, Haribo gummy bears.
Not the gummy bears.
Yeah. Rice.
I mean, if you're eating a snack shaped like an animal, aren't you sort of taking into account the fact that there could be droppings here and there?
No, not our Haribo. Not our Haribo. Quaker oat cornmeal, Special K cereal, Lucky Charms. I mean, okay, maybe some of these are things we probably shouldn't be eating anyway. Like
that's the funny thing. I'm looking at this. It's all ultra processed food. All of it. Gatorade, Coca-Cola, Smart Water. It's water.
Smart Water. Yikes. And those tasty Arizona iced teas, too.
Yeah.
I used to love those in high school.
Rodents
boy.
can carry leptospira, bacteria that cause leptospirosis in humans and animals. The bacteria can also result in salmonella poisoning, which can cause serious and sometimes fatal illnesses. People's salmonella infections can occur anywhere between 12 and 72 hours after eating the food contaminated. All right. So perusing all of this, it looks like this is all precautionary. Nobody has actually contracted any sort of disease because of the exposure to bird and rat droppings, other than just being grossed out by it. So look this up. It's probably hard. Oh, by the way, this also what the heck else is going on at this one facility in Minnesota? Hall's Defense vitamin C drops, Mentos gum, Advil, Tylenol, Excedrin, Benadryl.
Yikes.
What, all being made side by side with Pringles and Lucky Charms? Is this madness?
All you need to know, Larry, is that it's Minnesota-based and should be under the purview not just of the FDA, but what about local regulators?
Tim Walz and Keith Ellison are responsible for this. They're doing it on purpose. No, they're going to blame ICE. This is Trump's fault.
ICE put rodent feces in your Cheerios. Is that the narrative then?
Yeah.
That they want?
By the way, last week this same company had to recall Navitas Organics, which makes an 8-ounce organic chia seed product because the product may be contaminated with salmonella. So even if you're trying to be ultra healthy and you're going, "Ooh, I eat my chia seeds instead of my gummy bears," you're still getting it. You cannot. Again, any these days, I am skeptical of anything that is packaged in a box or a can that is delivered to me for food. Yeah.
And then if you go into D.C., if you battle and get into, a Walgreens in D.C. to buy toilet paper, there's a rodent nestled in your pack right there, as we talked about last week. You just can't escape. You can't escape them.
Well, there you go. That's your critter news. I guess it's a critter news update, considering
it is.
There are rats and birds that created the dropping. 7:53.